Ukraine has become, without a doubt, the most streamed war of all time. But the story you probably haven't seen is just how Ukraine has managed to stay online.
I've heard missiles flying.
Even amidst constant bombardment. It's a pretty incredible story, from Elon Musk to a small Montreal cybersecurity firm. But as this war goes on, there is a constant threat to Ukraine's ability to stay online. Millions of people have seen this TikTok of Olga and Mikhail singing happy birthday to their young daughter on the 9th floor of their apartment building in Dnipro in this bright, adorable yellow kitchen. Unfortunately, last month, that kitchen went viral again for much sadder reasons. Russian airstrikes hit their neighborhood, tearing the side off of their apartment building, exposing that yellow kitchen to the elements. Journalists were on the scene very quickly, and the images of that strike went viral all around the world. Olga and the kids were luckily not home when the strike occurred, but Mikhail was. He was one of 46 people who died in the blast. Even amongst this war, everyday Ukrainians have been showing what life is like under Russian bombardment.
This wooden stove literally saved our life.
We have seen videos of people streaming in the darkness in Lviv.
We hope that at least at 9 p.m. we will have a power.
There have been videos of people dancing in the subways of Kiev, even as airstrikes rain down overhead. Defense forces have uploaded video of doctors performing surgery by just the light of cell phone cameras in Kharkiv. Since last February, Russia has tried desperately to knock Ukraine offline. Particularly in the last few months, airstrikes have targeted telecommunications towers, shelling has hit power plants and critical infrastructure, Russian soldiers have tried to cut off internet lines, and cyber attacks have targeted the entire Ukrainian internet. But at least thus far, Russia has failed. So you may be asking, how is it that Ukraine has managed to stay online? Well, that's where Elon Musk comes in.
Ignition, liftoff.
Over the past number of years, his company SpaceX has been firing satellites into low orbit, hoping to create an internet service based from space. They call it Starlink. The advantage of this service is that it doesn't need these big telecommunications towers. You can connect an entire village with just a small terminal. And over the last several months, I've been speaking to senior Ukrainian officials who have been telling me that Starlink was a signal of life for Ukraine, especially in the early days of this war.
After the war, you're very welcome. I invite you. Yes.
That sounds good. Well, I look forward to visiting.
But ever since he spent $44 billion to buy Twitter, there have been signs that the billionaire's goodwill may be running out. Initially, he suggested that he was going to cut off Ukraine from Starlink, or at least start charging them. Facing a whole bunch of backlash, he backed down. But over the past few months, he's been parroting Russian talking points on Crimea and even proposing a peace plan that sounds awfully similar to the one put forward by Vladimir Putin. There's been widespread anger inside Ukraine over the perception that Elon Musk is withdrawing his support. In response to that backlash, Musk tweeted out that he's all for keeping Ukraine connected, but that he's worried that this could enable an escalation that leads to World War III. So now, faced with the possibility that they could lose Starlink, Ukraine has had to go to a pretty eloquent and simple solution: batteries. Cell phone infrastructure works basically the same no matter where you are. You have big cell phone towers like the one behind me hooked up to the electrical grid. That energy promulgates that cell signal to the area around and lets anyone connect. If the power happens to go out, well, there's a battery usually installed in that cell phone tower that gives it enough juice to keep it running for a couple hours. If things go on a bit longer, a crew can show up with a generator to keep things going for even longer than that. The batteries that are hooked up to Ukraine's telecommunication systems are old and they are weak. So there's been this real mad dash effort to get new lithium-ion batteries plugged into that telecommunications grid. If you've been in the market for an electric car recently, you know there is a ton of demand for these high-capacity batteries. So the international community has done their best to step in. That's where companies like Equality come in. They're a Montreal-based cybersecurity firm who have been working with Ukraine in recent months to boost the country's cyber defenses, get real, uncensored news to people throughout the country, and to help connect people on the front lines, including in Russian-occupied territories. I got on the phone with Vitaly Moroz. He's Equality's outreach and support coordinator to talk about how they've worked with internet service providers, or ISPs, to keep the country connected, even amidst a brutal war.
We had a feedback from Arsenault ISP. It is located in Chernihiv, and Chernihiv was under heavy bombardments. So helping them with just 5 batteries, which they received within this donation, means that connectivity, the people, like 10,000 of residents of Chernihiv remain connected.
As this war drags on, Russia is going to keep mounting its efforts to knock Ukraine into the dark and disconnect them from the rest of the world. These batteries could be a very effective way of keeping the whole country online.
So, Justin, I completely get the civilian applications, but the soldiers in Ukraine told us over the last few weeks that they're furious with Elon Musk's threats to pull away the use of Starlink on the battlefield offensively. It's been vital to them. So how big is that risk?
I mean, I think it's really significant. We still don't know yet whether or not Starlink will be totally revoked for the Ukrainian military, but if it is, it's a huge loss. It's great these batteries are keeping civilians connected, but the Ukrainian military has come to rely on Starlink to run a lot of their drone operations. If Elon Musk really does follow through, if he really has been sort of captured by some of this Russian disinformation, it's a huge win for Moscow and it's a huge loss for Ukraine.
All right, Justin Ling, thank you.
Thanks.